We will soon receive new lore related to Arcane. It was all confirmed by Riot Meddler, one of the developers working on League of Legends, in a conversation or rather a response given to a question asked by SpiderX. So let me actually read the question and the answer so you can get some context of what's going to happen. The question goes like this. Are you able to share any updates on bio updates like Camille, Seraphine and others with the new approach to narrative with thematic seasons? In response, should be able to talk about our plans with bio updates in the next video, and we'll probably pair that with at least 1 or 2 updated bios as well. Camille's is almost done, Seraphine is underway. We'll tie bio updates to season thematics where we can, but we'll also just be catching up on long needed ones like those 2 as well, even if it means we are not always matching seasonal themes. What you also need to understand is that whenever Riot Games releases a champion, they also release information related to the lore of that champion through 3 different methods: descriptions, biographies and short stories. Now, as they announced over a year ago, they deliberately moved away from short stories, but biographies and descriptions are there to stay. As you can see right here, in the next dev video, they are going to talk about some of their plans for the bio updates, which is not a new information, but it's still important because we will get to see what they plan to do with the characters who were affected by the lore changes made by Arcane. For sure now we get these 2, but we can also expect to see all of the characters who are part of Arcane. They've been working on those changes up until this point because all the descriptions of the characters from Arcane were changed and Victor's biography was changed. So most likely we will get to see new lore related to Arcane through these characters who will have their biography changed. Characters who were not part of Arcane but their lore was affected, and characters who were part of Arcane and their lore was also affected. So let's talk about Camille. In the League of Legends lore, she's part of Clan Pharos. Clan Pharos is name dropped in Arcane, and they mentioned how Mel is the richest person in Piltover through the innovations made by them. Camille is someone who underwent some extreme body modifications. Her heart is Hextech, right? And not only that, but other modifications too. But in Arcane, we see that body modifications through Hextech work completely different. I'm not sure what they are going to do with it, but whenever they are going to reveal Camille's lore, we will get to see what happened after Arcane, because absolutely nobody in Arcane is fully modified by Hextech, or at least we do not get any information that people are using body modifications the same way it is described in the League of Legends lore. Now let's talk about Seraphine. I think this is the easiest one to adapt to be consistent with the Arcane lore, and that's because, well, the Hextech usage in her case is pretty minimal in my opinion. She has magical hearing, and whenever she grows up, because she hears all the souls of everyone around her, everything becomes chaotic, right? And her parents buy Hextech to create her a dampener so she can have silence finally. But she hears voices through the Hextech crystal, and through that she's able to harmonize all the voices she hears, all the sounds she hears through the souls of all the people around her, and she stops using the dampener at one point and uses the Hextech crystal to create a platform to go around, right? I've seen people mentioning how her mother was showcased through the Jinx fixes everything minigame in the second act. It could be, but as I said, I think this is probably the easiest lore to make consistent with Arcane. When it comes to other characters, for example Vi seems like she has amnesia in her biography, so that has to be changed, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with that. Then we have Jinx. We know that she leaves Piltover and Zone at the end of Arcane. Are they going to hint anything related to that? Possibly no, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. After that, Ekko, are they going to hint at him rebuilding the Z drive? Maybe not. I'm not sure if that's a plan, but it's something that can maybe happen. Caitlyn, which is a big one, as it is with all of these biographies, they will most likely go through the events portrayed in Arcane, but at the same time, Caitlyn leaving her spot on the council to Sevika is something they cannot ignore. And we will most likely, or I'm looking forward to receiving some insight of what the counselors are doing and the relationship between Piltover and Zon. That's for sure something. Singed, we will most likely get to see how he locked in for 20 years or something like that to save his daughter and to be the only winner in Arcane, and maybe some hints at future plot points related to Singed and Oriana. Warwick, now those are pretty significant changes and I can't see much. Maybe they will hint at his survival, and maybe they can introduce the idea that Warwick, as soon as Victor lost control, the Chemtech part is going to win over the Hextech part, right? And that's when he becomes the Rat of Zon. He turns into a full wolf, and that will be closer to League of Legends, right? It will be closer to having an adaptation of the old lore. Maybe that's going to happen. There are for sure other characters that will have their biographies changed, but as of right now, these are the ones I wanted to talk about. Maybe you have your own ideas, but besides that, as I mentioned earlier, they changed the descriptions of the characters presented in Arcane, and one of them is Jinx. And if you want to see more about that, and what the differences are between the League of Legends version and the new version of her description, you can click on that video.